Now it's time for Media Watch with Emma James. Good evening, Emma. We're going to start with reactions, we're taking a look at the expectations of and the reactions to that meeting today between Emmanuel Macron and Vladimir Putin.
Yes, this one hotly anticipated, and for a lot of people, for rather a flippant kind of a reason, because everyone wanted to know what the handshake between Emmanuel Macron and Vladimir Putin would look like. Plantu, the cartoonist, came up with this image with Emmanuel Macron with a hugely oversized hand, and if you notice in the background, it's actually listed on a poster along with various other weapons, including tanks and rockets. And it comes as Emmanuel Macron has admitted that it wasn't a spontaneous act, that handshake with Donald Trump. He said he thought of it as a moment of truth. He said it wasn't the be-all and end-all, but he wanted to set a precedent right from the outset to show that he was not going to be a pushover when it came to dealing with the American president. As for the handshake today with Vladimir Putin, well, some people seemed a little bit disappointed, really, pointing out it lasted just 7 seconds. This journalist saying that it was rather unspectacular. Lots of people calling it perfunctory. It was very matter-of-fact and very simple. But one image that is being shared a lot is this one, because it's one of those photographs that just captures a particular moment. It doesn't necessarily mean that Vladimir Putin...
A nanosecond later, they were shaking hands.
Absolutely, but he does appear to be eyeing that hand with a great deal of suspicion. Emmanuel Macron almost looks like he's issuing a challenge. Politico were looking ahead to this meeting, talking about the fact that after that handshake with Donald Trump, could he be primed for more displays of muscular assertiveness? I think it's probably safe to say that that is what he did. But they also talk about the fact that there were many reasons why this meeting could be pretty tricky, not least of which the fact that Putin cancelled his last visit to Paris because François Hollande, the then president, said that the bombing in Aleppo, which had been carried out by Russia, was a tantamount to a war crime. Human Rights Watch too were looking ahead to this one, wondering if Emmanuel Macron would live up to what he promised on the campaign trail, that he was very committed to human rights. They pointed out that in his inaugural speech, France will always make sure to be on the side of liberty and human rights, he had said. So a lot of people were waiting to see how much he would actually live up to expectations.
Now, Emmanuel Macron has taken quite a strong, forceful stance on a number of different issues and made that quite clear today. How have people reacted to that?
Well, he said he wanted these talks to be demanding, and they certainly were. He took on some of the thorniest issues of the day, including Syria, Russian propaganda. But there's one issue in particular that had a particular resonance here in France, and that was the fact that Macron called on Putin to speak the truth on the arrests and persecution of the gay community in Chechnya. Now, if you're not familiar with this story, it's believed around 100 people have been arrested, gay men, and put into what amounts to gay concentration camps where they have been tortured and their families have been told, kill your gay sons or we will do it for you. This is an image from a protest that happened in Paris today up at the Trocadero just near the Eiffel Tower. Other people protesting by showing this image of Vladimir Putin as a drag queen. It may seem like a simple joke, but actually this image was banned in Russia earlier this year. The court ruled that it was actually extremist, so it wasn't allowed to be shown on social media in Russia. Other architecture students unfurled rainbow flags on the building opposite where the meeting was taking place. And the reason that it was so important here in France today is this. France actually took in its very first gay refugee from Chechnya on the same day that Vladimir Putin was here. And it does seem that Emmanuel Macron is very keen of making these kind of symbolic statements. The Huffington Post French version has this, the sense of timing. It does seem to be something he likes to employ, and I expect we're going to see a lot more of it throughout his presidency.
Certainly we saw it as well at the NATO meeting, a sense of timing and a sense of attention to details such as
very much
handshakes. Thanks very much for that, Emma, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes' time. Just a short break first for the weather.